Morning, grade 11 students. I am Nikki Vanas. I'm shooting your 21st century literature teacher. Welcome to this subject. Welcome to the new normal class. So we have here a general description of 21st century. This course aims to engage students in appreciation the critical study of 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world rather, encompassing their dimensions, genres, elements, structures, contexts, and traditions. So our specific objectives: first, we have to define literature, discuss the various dimensions of Philippine literary history from pre-colonial to contemporary, identify the colonial authors and the work of the Philippine national artists in literature, and appreciate the contribution of local writers to the development of regional literary traditions, then explain the literary text from different regions and different genres, and then make a literary text using the multimedia skills. So we have here a poem which is entitled If I Thought, written by Dana Squares. So now let's read this poem, and all you have to do is you are going to understand this poem, what the poem is all about. So now let's read. If I thought for just one moment that this would be my last breath, I'd tell you I love you forever, even beyond death. If I thought for just one moment that your face would be the last I'd see, I'd take a million pictures and save them just for me. If I thought for just one moment that your voice would be the last I'd hear, I'd listen attentively and promise not to shed a tear. If I thought for just one moment that your touch would be the last I'd feel, I'd embrace you and know that this has all been real. If I thought for just one moment that my heart would be the last but I'd thank the Lord for allowing us to meet. So what a nice poem. Now let's go back to our topic. Let's define first what is literature. Literature is a written work such as poems, plays, and novels that are considered to be very good to have lasting importance. Literature, it is alive, it represents human experiences. So, the poem that I have presented to you a while ago is one of the example of literature because it tells about the life of a person. Now, the importance of literature. Studying literature is like looking at the mirror of life where man's experiences, his innermost feelings, thoughts are reflected. Through literature, we learn the culture of people, occurs, times, and space. Now, let's proceed to the introduction to Philippine literature. Philippine literature withstood time and periods that has evolved through generation. For every period that passed, different genres approached and thus literary works rooted from all regions reflecting their culture, society, and lifestyle. So literature evolved generation to generation. The early stages of Filipino literature consist of three: free, the Free-Spanish period, the Propaganda period, and Revolutionary period. So in the Free-Spanish period, literature was in oral form as technology or printing was not available yet. So it says here that in Free-Spanish period rather, they don't have technology, so their literature was in oral. Unlike us today, if we want to write some poems or we want to express our feelings or ideas through poem, we use technology to make it easier. Works such as epics, legends. So when we say legends, is a genre of folklore that consists of a narrative featuring humans' actions perceived or believed both teller and listeners to have taken place within human history. Legends is a story that people talk about concerning people, places, or events that are exist or famous at present time. Some legend stories are about real people, others are not. Then folklore and salawikain. So when we say salawikain, short poems that have been customarily used and serve as laws or rules on good behavior by our ancestors, often expressing single idea that is usually satirical and had a witty ending. So as we observe mga sayings or mga salawikain, meron itong malalim na kahulugan. Example, ang matapat na kaibigan, tunay na maaasahan. So in English, you will know a true friend in a time of need. So kahit maikli lamang ito, meron itong malalim na kahulugan. Another example, ang mabigat ay gumagaan kapag pinagtutulungan. And then, bugtong or riddle. When we say riddle or bugtong, make up for one or more measured lines with rhymes and may consist of 4 to 12 syllables. So the purpose of bugtong or riddle is to entertain or to educate kasi minsan ang bugtong ay nagbibigay ito ng aliw, minsan at the same time nagbibigay din ito ng aral sa atin. And then songs such as Oyayi, Heli are passed on from generation to generation and they are still well being known up to this day as they are being taught in school. So, di ba sa paaralan natin, tinuturo pa rin ang mga epics, legends, or alamat, salawikain, bugtong, and etc. The works during this time is an imitative. So when we say imitative, it is a made or done to be like something or someone else. In Tagalog, tumutulad. Tumutulad. So, imitative or Spanish term forms and tradition. The corridor awit dalit, sinakulo, moro-moro, doplo and karagatan, Zarzuela are reflected of the said characteristic. Religious matter were in prose of novels and books, and biographies of the saint, tales and novels. The Filipinos were able to retain their native traditions and poems in the field of poetry reflected lyrical fictions and riddles. So, Filipino were able to retain their native traditions and poem. Some examples are songs are Bahay Kubo. Some examples rather of songs are Bahay Kubo, Kundiman, and Tapat Francisco Baltasar was also put during this time because of his Florante at Laura. Events such as exposure of the Filipinos to Europe liberal idealism, the opening of the Suez Canal, the Spanish Revolution in 1868, the martyrdom of Gomburz lead to Filipino nationalism. This gave birth to two movements during this time, the propaganda movement and the revolutionary movement. The propaganda movement was reformatory in objective and its members are college students mostly based in Spain. The primary propagandists were Jose Rizal, Marcelo H. del Villar, and Graciano Lopez Haina. The exposure of evils of the Spanish rule in the Philippines was because of Rizal, Noli Me Tangere, and El Filibusterismo, and has paved the way to a revolution against Spain. So if you're going to read, to read the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, doon nagsisimula ang lahat at malalaman natin kung ano ang pinagmulan ng mga pangyayari noon. Del Pilar Essays, an edition in Jarang Tagalog, which he founded with Lopez Haina, articles in La Solidaridad, which he was an editor, reflected nationalism that was dominant at this time. The revolutionary movement took over the propagandist field to get much reform. This was scourge more violent, and it demanded complete independence from Spain. The Katipunan was founded by Andres Bonifacio, who was inspired by Rizal's novels. The articles written in Tagalog, which was form of revolution, was published in the Kalayaan, the newspaper of the society. The literature at that time was more propagandist than literary as a situation and events events at that time needed such purpose for liberation. The three periods mentioned are the, are the core of our history and literature. Those are the pre-Spanish period, the revolutionary period, and propaganda period. History has a very important role in literature, as literature not only reflects facts with a static language, but more importantly, it displays the ideas and feelings of the people living at that time. Not only does literature exhibit history, but so a dry hope that peoples have. It shows what they hope for the nations or for themselves, may it be about nationalism, love, and the other aspect going on in life. As the Philippines underwent a lot of history as well as changes, literatures also evolve. In a similar case as the first three periods, literary genres also evolve depending on the influence, the state, and the condition that our country is in. From effects of Pakusums to Sinaculo and No Limitang and English short stories, essays, poetry, to the Planca Awards entries, drama and film, to Wattpad and blogs, these are all reflected to the history, evolution, and development of mishaps of the Filipino nation. Each period has its own its own distinct genre and unique artist that everyone remembers. So any questions, clarifications, additions? So if you don't have any questions about our topic or regarding to our lessons, just go to your learning path for the activity at www.guide.com and then just call me or message me at 092629748685. So that's all. Thank you and God bless.